Let's try that again. I know it's a Monday and it's really hot and it's summer, but I think you can do better than that. Good evening.
Good evening.
That's what I'm talking about. I like the energy now. You guys are awesome. Everybody give yourselves a nice slap on the back here, because you are here to learn about how to heal your digestive system. And we appreciate the fact that you're taking time out of your busy schedules to learn this. But I know it's going to empower you, and I'm fully convinced that a healthy GI system is a fundamental part of having a healthy body.
Here.
Do you agree?
I was like, where's that coming from?
Digest the foods that you eat properly, and you're going to see there's a dozen different reasons and effects that that has on your body. But if I could just help you get your nervous system and your digestive system healthy, you're going to see tonight how that plays a role in helping all the other systems fall into line and do their jobs properly. So this digestive ReBoot flyer should be coming around. If you don't have that yet, hang on tight. Jess is over there helping us get them passed out. You can take notes on this, but there's also specific testing and solution protocols that we're going to be recommending tonight. So I want you to have access to those and understand where those are coming from. So you have those listed right here as far as where to go for those resources, okay? How many guests do we have tonight? If you're a guest, raise your hand. Do we have any guests? Wonderful. Welcome. Welcome, guests. Everybody give a round of applause to our guests here tonight. We always love seeing new faces, so if you heard us on the radio show or if you saw us through one of the social media advertisements, welcome. We're glad that you made it here tonight, and we're going to show you how you can start to make some of the lifestyle changes that you'll see in the room. I'm convinced that we get to work with some of the healthiest people in this community because we really help them build and create a healthy lifestyle. So if you're looking to be 70, 80, 90 plus years old and actually still feel good about yourself and still want to enjoy life and have a good quality, you're in the right place. We're going to teach you the lifestyle to be able to do that. So just for our guests, how many of you are patients in one of our 3 locations here tonight? Raise your hand. Okay, so you look around the room, you see that we have a large influence in the community. We want to help all of our community be able to get healthy and get well. So our patients are totally plugged into our systems. Some people say they would have drunk the Kool-Aid. I would say they just want to be healthy and get great results, and that's what we teach. So without further ado, Dr. Chad is going to be starting tonight. But we have a brand new doctor that has just joined our team, and Dr. Chad is going to intro Dr. Asha, and then we're going to go ahead and get the GI ReBoot kicked off. So, Dr. Chad, if you would, go ahead and take it away here, sir.
All right. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Yeah, real exciting news here. I've been running the Hale's practice office for almost 6 years now, and Dr. Asha's dad was in my office, and I got to meet her a couple years ago, and she was just starting chiropractic school, which was exciting. So, of course, I was like, oh, well, in 4 or 5 years when you're out of school, you can come work in the office. And sure enough, 4 or 5 years later, here she is. So say hi to Dr. Asha. So now all of us guide docs have to take showers before we train together. We got a girl in the house now, so. But we're really excited to have her here. She's going to be great. She's going to be running the marketing program for us all. But starting in July, she'll start to adjust in the office and save some lives. So welcome to the team.
Thank you. It's great being here. I'm excited to meet all of you guys and see you in the office.
All right.
Awesome.
You ready to learn?
Yeah. Cool. Everybody have a good Father's Day? Yeah. Everybody need a gut reboot after the food you ate? Probably, right? I know I do. So yeah, real cool stuff today. I mean, GI ReBoot workshop. I believe that this is really one of the most advanced programs we've put together. Me personally, that was probably one of my main issues, mostly through high school and even college. I remember just having crippling stomach problems, like anxiety problems, like stress issues, like of course, just the medical doctor's answer was just, oh, you probably have an infection. Here's some antibiotics. Okay, it's a full house. I have to walk up the aisle today. Yeah, I mean, I suffered from digestive issues through high school and through college. So my MD's answer to getting healthy was more antibiotics and more antibiotics. And what we're going to be talking about today is how antibiotics is really like an atomic bomb. When you're going to destroy something, you're going to use an atomic bomb. So if you want to use antibiotics to destroy everything in your body, you go ahead and use antibiotics. But you really have to get down to the cause. So of course, in Maximized Living, we want to get down to the cause, right? Yep. Right? So we don't want to just treat the symptoms. We don't want to take more medications causing more issues. So today is all about getting down to the cause, okay? So really with Max Health here, we want to reach out to about 1 million people throughout Milwaukee, okay? And then we can get them onto the 5 essentials and actually get them to live a healthy lifestyle and be healthy. So that's one of the reasons we've now have 3 offices. We have 6 doctors. We've got like 20 or 30 staff now. It just keeps growing every single week, I feel. But the second half of this, Dr. Matt's going to come up and he's going to talk about the solution to all of it. But I'm going to start with all the problems that's been going on. So let's get started. So if you want to know exactly what digestive issues we're talking about, mainly heartburn or GERD, you got that acid reflux, I'm sure you've witnessed that. Inflammatory bowel syndrome or disease, celiac disease when you're really intolerant to gluten, right? You got constipation, Crohn's disease, diarrhea, diverticulosis, gallstones, hemorrhoids, lactose intolerance, ulcerative colitis, SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And we're really going to be getting into leaky gut today on how leaky gut is actually, I'm not yelling loud enough? My goodness. This is just a recording. But leaky gut, so we're going to talk about that mostly today and how it's linked to everything. Children's health decline now. It's pretty sad stuff because 94 to 2006, the chronic conditions with children have actually rose about 15%. And of course, we got a lot of autoimmune issues, obesity, asthma, behavioral and learning disabilities. That's all coming from JAMA. So leaky gut program, we're going to be going over symptoms, triggers, other related issues, and exactly what foods to get into, supplements to get into, exactly how to repair leaky gut, and exactly what that is. So over 11,000 studies now are out there on PubMed, just specifically on leaky gut. Now what leaky gut specifically is basically your intestinal lining being too permeable. So things are crossing that membrane much too easy. Something like your food is actually getting into your bloodstream. And if food gets into your bloodstream, of course, there's going to be an autoimmune reaction. And then now we're seeing all these autoimmune issues out there. So instead of treating all these symptoms, we want to get down to the cause. Okay? So when particles get into the bloodstream, that's when we see a lot of inflammation caused from the damage. So I do have a little visual here for you. So I'm going to use these guys as an example. You guys mind?
No, I don't know.
You can stand up. Come on up. So just want to show you exactly what leaky gut is. You can be the sick gut. Okay? Here's a bunch of food and particles, maybe toxins, maybe vitamins. All right, so you're going to be the healthy gut.
Okay.
Can you hold them up so everybody can see? We got healthy gut and sick gut. Now, what normally is supposed to happen when you eat food, right? You got your gut, which is supposed to hold your food. It's not supposed to fall through like a hole in that or something like that. You want to actually catch. So you come in and you eat some good food and you start catching your food, which is good, right? It's not getting in your bloodstream or anything like that. You keep eating. You're doing really good. You're exercising. You're eating right. You're doing all the good things. You keep eating the good food. Your healthy gut's catching all the good stuff. It's not missing anything, right? So your body's actually able to do the right things. Absorb it, get nutrients, vitamins, stuff like that, right? So if you get into something worse, though, right? So we got our sick gut over here. So you're doing the same thing, right? You're exercising, you're eating right, you're doing all the things, but you start eating this food and you're supposed to catch that. Oh, no. Let's try it again. See? Leaky gut. So you don't really have to catch it, but... So you keep eating this organic food, you're exercising, you're starting to get a little flush. You're getting a little bloated. Are you gassy? That's typically what happens when leaky gut starts to happen. All right, so you keep doing the right things, you think you're doing the right things, and you keep getting more and more food particles, toxins, pesticides, herbicides getting in your bloodstream. now you're getting autoimmune issues because you're not taking care of the cause. You're getting inflammation. You're getting lots of bad things in the blood. So we got to start repairing it, right? We want to repair this and get more onto the healthy side. You agree? So Dr. Matt later, in the second half, is actually going to talk about how to repair that gut. So you stop treating all the symptoms. You stop treating the autoimmune issues. You stop treating, all the other issues that you're chasing around. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. So on the screen here,
Try and stay projected out there. It's really tough for them to
is the
hear.
air conditioning on or something?
Yeah, the air conditioning.
Okay, I'll stay out here. So increased intestinal permeability, so leaky gut syndrome, right? So you got the healthy gut, right? That's actually where we had them holding on to the healthy intestine lining. If it starts to get inflamed, right, they start to swell up and you get the damaged intestinal lining. That's where you're going to start getting inflammation, undigested food particles. You actually start getting gaps. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, if you start getting this damage to the lining, you actually start losing the junction between the cells, okay? So if you start losing these gap junctions, you start getting the food into the intestinal lining. Bacterial overgrowth that I'm talking about before, gluten trigger. Even if you're not intolerant to gluten, you still actually start getting the gaps into the cells, which is horrible for our health. It's called zonulin. It's actually when you eat gluten, when you eat gluten, you actually release this zonulin, and then it actually opens those tight junctions leading to that leaky gut. Is that better? Can you hear me now? A little better? Cool. All right, so what actually causes this GI inflammation? Well, we got stress, we got toxins, food particles, drugs, pathogens, of course, organ malfunction. That will lead to the GI inflammation, these actual gaps, food intolerances, leading to immune system issues. One thing could be the genetically susceptibility, MS, diabetes, RA, rheumatoid arthritis, exposure to inflammation, antigens, runny nose, gas, bloating, low energy, brain fog, even into the damaged gut lining, antibiotics, poor diet, stress, toxins. All these things will lead to more and more leaky gut. So all those symptoms we just talked about, you can treat those with drugs and medications, even some natural ways, but we want to get actually to repair the gut so you guys can be as healthy as possible, okay? So I remember Hippocrates, right? So he says all disease begins in the gut, right? Not some disease or not a few diseases. It's all disease begins in the gut. So we got to start repairing the gut, repairing the lining. So leaky gut syndrome is main trigger of autoimmunity. There's a growing evidence that increased intestinal permeability plays a pathogenic role in various autoimmune diseases. Therefore, we hypothesize that loss of intestinal barrier function is necessary to develop autoimmunity. Okay, so let's keep repairing the gut. Here's the cycle of leaky gut. So we talked about pathogens and herbicides and stuff like that to get in, causing intestinal inflammation, right? You're losing the gap junctions. You're not getting the proper nutrients, so you're getting malabsorption. You might have B12 iron or magnesium deficiencies, auto responses, GI distress, multiple food intolerances. These are signs that you have leaky gut. So if you're intolerant to gluten, if you're intolerant to lactose or dairy, peanuts, stuff like that, all these food intolerances will show you that you actually have a sign that has the leaky gut. So let's start repairing the gut. Autoimmune issues, if you just keep letting that go over time and time, it's just going to get worse and you end up with the autoimmune. So one of the main things, though, to start healing the gut is actually getting all the good bacteria back into your body, okay? So you have 10 times more bacteria in your gut than you have cells in your entire body. So you're more bacteria than you are cells, okay? So you're really made out of a lot of bacteria. So here's actually a great article. If you find this, your inner ecosystem, the Ultimate Social Network, written by Jennifer Ackerman in June 2012. Look up Scientific American, great magazine. So that will lead to the autoimmunity. Most people say, well, I've been hearing this last couple of weeks when we've been promoting this workshop is that, oh, I don't have digestive issues. I actually have a healthy gut. Like, I'm healthy. A lot of people don't link the gut to a lot of their symptoms. So just look at the brain. You got depression, anxiety, ADHD, skin issues like acne or rosacea, eczema, psoriasis. A lot of thyroid issues too can be linked right back to the gut. Hashimoto's, hypothyroid, Graves, colon. You got constipation, diarrhea, IBD. Even get into like adrenals, fatigue, rheumatoid arthritis in the joints, fibromyalgia, headaches, sinuses and mouth, colds and flus, sensitivities. So all these things can be linked right back to the gut. So again, repair the gut like you're supposed to. If you're wondering if you do have leaky gut, we can test that now. We're not just going to guess anymore. So we actually have these specific tests that Dr. Matt will go over a little bit more too. LBT, lactulose breath test. We also have 2 supplements for that. Organics testing, vitamin and mineral deficiency testing, IgG. This will show you if you have any food allergies or sensitivities. And of course, you can do the fun old stool test, microbiome and good and bad bacteria. You can go right to this website, maxhealthchiro.com/leaky-gut-lab-test.
That is on your workshop flyer.
Yep. So you don't have to write that down, but it's on there. So if you're trying to figure out what triggers this, look at these 6 things. So GMO foods, these things are really laced with all the herbicides and pesticides and antibiotics. So if you want more of the things that are going to kill off your gut, eat more GMO foods. So we want to cut GMO foods out. If you don't know what that is, it's a genetically modified organism. Okay, so this is food that man has manipulated to make it. What's the word I want to look for? Like it's more resistant to chemicals, and they can produce more, but it's not healthy for us. One of the main things I just heard was that when you make these GMO foods, all the studies are showing that it doesn't harm the human, but what it does harm is our bacteria in our gut. So that was a huge eye-opening thing to me, is when you start eating these pesticides and stuff like that from Monsanto, it's actually killing your intestinal lining. It's creating leaky gut. It's creating digestive issues. It's creating your good bacteria to die off inside your body. So eliminate GMOs as much as possible. The goal is for everybody here to start buying more non-GMO foods, and then they're going to supply more non-GMO foods for us. So every time you go to the grocery store, you're literally voting. Other things are medicines like antibiotics. Again, that's like an atomic bomb. If you want to destroy everything, use an atomic bomb and destroy everything in your body. So we want to start avoiding those as much as possible. The gluten-free stuff, it's good when you got the gluten intolerant stuff, but you also want to make sure it's not laced with a whole bunch of sugars too. A lot of replacing with the sugars. Sugar there too. Sugar will increase a lot of yeast production in your gut, which is a lot of issues. Even getting into dairy. So dairy, you're gonna every time you consume conventional dairy, you're gonna get like 20 some different herbicides and antibiotics. 80% of antibiotics used in America are actually used on animals, and of course we're consuming those animals. So we want to avoid dairy as much as possible as well. And then if you have food allergies, that's a direct link that you do have this leaky gut, and we want to heal ourselves as quick as possible. So avoid these triggers as much as you can, and you can start healing everything. So now Dr. Matt can take over. Did I do a little bit better?
Eat right, exercise, have a healthy mind, keep toxins out of your body, right? Okay, everybody going to be able to hear me? We're good. I don't want you to feel like I'm yelling at you, but I get pretty excited when I talk about this stuff because I know how much it can benefit you. So I just want to back up for 1 second to this slide. Everything that Dr. Chad was explaining to you, I want to make sure that we're very clear on what that means before we move forward, because if you don't understand the gravity of this issue, then the solution's not going to make sense. Agreed? So right now, 20 plus million people suffering with heart disease, cancer, right? And we think that's a huge number in our society, which it is. And those are very prevalent problems that we're all aware of. Research shows that over 50 million people suffer with digestive disorders like leaky gut. Many of them don't have any signs or symptoms actually related to GI system. So you may not recognize this because you're not having constipation or diarrhea or stomach cramping or anything like that. The way that this gut dysbiosis plays out, and that's the gut dysbiosis, is the battle between the good bacteria and the bad bacteria, right? The way that it ends up playing out is it actually goes and attacks other tissues inside of your body. That's what Dr. Chad was talking about with the autoimmune response. And so I want to be very clear in explaining that. What happens, remember the net demonstration? When you lose the tight gap junctions in the gut, and that gut is not sealed correctly, instead of the food particles being properly digested, they leak through the lining of the gut. They get directly into the bloodstream. Undigested food particles in your bloodstream is considered a foreign body. What does your immune system do to foreign bodies? It attacks them. That's right. Now what happens is when this has been going on for long enough periods of time, the immune system gets stuck in the on position. This is what's called autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease plays out differently in virtually every single patient's body. It can be autoimmune disease of the joints, which would cause joint achiness, and if it progressed long enough, it could cause rheumatoid arthritis or psoriatic arthritis. Those are both autoimmune conditions. Does that make sense? It can attack your nervous system. That's called multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune condition. It can attack your kidneys. It can attack your thyroid. Have you heard of Hashimoto's thyroiditis before? Autoimmune attacking the thyroid. So you could actually be taking thyroid medication that's covering up the symptoms of a gut issue. Does that make sense? That's why it's so important for us to get to the cause. So Dr. Chad went through a slide a couple slides ago where he talked about how it can play out as skin issues, right? There's autoimmune issues of the skin like psoriasis and eczema. That's GI disruption expressing itself through the skin because these undigested food particles, toxins, chemicals from GMOs, they're getting in the bloodstream and your body has to deal with those. Because if they remain in the bloodstream, it's going to continue to damage your organs. Does that make sense? And so it's either trying to push them out through the skin, and that's why you see the rashes or the acne. It's trying to push them out through the kidneys, trying to push them out through the liver, which then affects your metabolism. So if you have weight loss resistance, you've been to the gym, you've worked out, you've ate a healthy diet, and maybe still not been able to lose the weight that you need to, it's most likely a gut disturbance issue. Are you starting to see the gravity of this and how big it is? It literally affects every other body system of your body. Hormonal disruptions are rampant as a result of this. Okay, so are you starting to see the bigness of the picture here? So a healthy gut is going to be primary. It's a fundamental fact for health for the human body. And what it basically comes down to, so as we move into the solution here, what it comes down to is diversity of the gut biome. So as Dr. Chad stated, we are 10 times as many bacterial cells as we are human cells. So you're really just one big bacterial bug, okay? In all seriousness, we are. However, we have to take care of our bacteria. If we don't have friendly bacteria, think about that. If you have 10 times as many bacteria and you have bad, disruptive, damaging bacteria cultures in your body, it's going to cause a lot of issues for your human cells because they outnumber them. Does that make sense? Okay, but if you get the bacteria on your side and you get them working for you, these bacteria help to digest foods more fully. Did you know that most of your vitamin K production is actually due to the bacteria in your gut? That's how your body actually produces and converts vitamin K inside. That's how you get your vitamin K. Did you know that? Okay, so they provide essential minerals and nutrients. There's a nice, healthy, symbiotic relationship there when we have a healthy, diverse gut biome, microbiome. Does that make sense? Healthy gut bacteria. That's what we want. We want to see a balance between them. So here are the things that that we need to do to develop a healthy gut biome. That's really what we're getting into here tonight. And so as I equip you with these are going to be solutions to create that. Now recognize it that everything that you've done since you started life, whether you were on antibiotics when you were kids or even into your adulthood, if you've been exposed to different chemicals throughout life, so if you've been to our detox workshop, then you know the gravity of that. So literally down to soaps and shampoos and the type of pans that you cook with. All of these things disrupt the biome. So potentially you've had 40, 50, 60 plus years of disrupting your healthy gut to this expression of symptoms. So are we going to be able to fix this problem overnight? No, it's something that has to be built back into a healthy gut biome. One of the biggest concerns that I have for you is the disruption of your immune system. That's the biggest player because your immune system is what allows your body to fend off from other pathogens or sicknesses or diseases. Your body cannot do it to its design and its potential without that healthy gut microbiome in there, right? Because again, once it causes the leaky gut and those toxins and particles are leaking into the bloodstream, what is your immune system focused on? It's focused on defending from those foreign particles that you're self-administering. So it doesn't have the opportunity to fully focus on, destroying cancer in your body, for example, or destroying other symptoms or sicknesses that you may come in contact with, like the flu during the flu season or the common cold. So if you find yourself in a rundown, fatigued state, if you find yourself getting sick frequently, this is going to be one of the go-to answers that we need to do is build your gut back up, seal those tight junctions again so that particles aren't leaking into your intestine. That's what this system is designed for. Does that make sense? Okay, how many want a healthy gut now, right? And to make sure the gut's fully healthy so that your body can actually heal. So here's the solution to that. Step number 1, and these are all listed on your Digestive ReBoot handout here, right? Know your gut type. So there are 5 different gut types that I'm going to review with you. And most people get a gut feeling for which type of gut that they have. Hey, it's my birthday. I get to make those kind of jokes today, right? I'm a natural father. I have all the dad jokes in the book, right? Step number 2, remove inflammatory food triggers. Step number 3, nourish the gut lining with key nutrients. So we're going to show you some supplementation that you can do to help to seal up those tight junctions so that you seal up the leaky gut and then nourish a healthy gut lining and a healthy microbiome, a healthy gut bacteria, right? Number 4, treat specific organ issues with supplementation. So rather than go and say treat the thyroid, right? If your thyroid has been damaged by this leaky gut and it's created antibodies because of that autoimmune response from the leaky gut, we also want to treat the thyroid and help it heal, right? We want to support that healing process. Otherwise, it's going to take a really long time for you to see the results because first we have to turn off the damage that's being created by the gut, right? That's going to be step 1. But, at the same time, so congruently with that, we also want to supply the thyroid with healthy nutrients so that it can start to heal and repair. Because if we just keep dumping the thyroid medication in there, what is that doing to the gut lining? Make it healthier or sicker? It's actually making it sicker. So it's playing against the ability for your body to heal. Does that make sense? So we want to run the proper testing and know exactly what things that we need to treat in your body so we can develop a customized, specific plan for you to heal and get well. All right? So number 4 is treat the specific organs with supplementation. And then, of course, number 5, rebalance that microbiome. Get the gut healing. So there's no one that's more important than the other. All 5 of them need to be understood and implemented to getting this moving in the right direction. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right. So healing leaky gut. Here's your 5 gut types. They are listed here on your handout. So the first one is going to be your Candida gut. Candida gut. Now, Candida is a yeast overgrowth. That's what Candida is, okay? So if you've had yeast infections as a female or as a male, if you have fungal and yeast overgrowths like toe fungus or things like that, you likely have Candida gut. Birth control pills are a very common accelerator of Candida gut. Sugar, because yeast feeds on what? It loves to feed on sugar. You got it. It loves to ferment the sugar, actually. Dairy. One of the things that I wanted to mention about dairy, most dairy has a protein in it called casein. Has anyone heard of casein before? Okay, gluten, we all know about gluten, right? Casein has 20 times the effect of gluten on the disturbance in the GI system. And that's why so many people that are sensitive to gluten will also be sensitive to dairy. You may not even know it. So you could be damaging your gut lining and not have any outward effects of that, but that's what the casein is doing to your gut. Now, there's a very specific type of dairy that doesn't cause that response. It's called beta-casein A2. And if you want to read about this, it gets really scientific, but there's a great book called The Devil in the Milk. And if you want to read about it, it'll explain the difference between beta-casein A1, beta-casein A2. Just so you know, the whey protein products that we provide in our office, one of the reasons that they're more expensive than conventional protein powders that you'll get is because they all contain beta-casein A2, which is the non-inflammatory, non-gut disturbing. They're bred from cows in Australia. We literally had to go and test all the cattle ranches to find out where the predominant A2 cattle were. So there's been a lot of in-depth science and research that goes beyond that, things that you would never otherwise know about or even comprehend, but it's a lot different than going to GNC and pulling a protein powder off the shelf. You have no idea what you're getting. They're not tested. They're not researched to nearly the same level. That's what keeps the price so low for them. They're just sticking any kind of variety of conventional protein in there for you, whereas we're going through all the homework and finding out what's actually going to promote healing in your body. Does that make sense? Okay? The same thing is true with, I'll get in here into the bone broth protein as well. So all the conventional benefits of bone broth, has anyone ever done a bone broth cleanse before? Okay, it's very healing for the gut. You heard of chicken noodle soup before? You know why chicken noodle soup is so good for helping you overcome that cold or the flu? Because of the broth in there. It's healing for what system? The GI system, which has a direct response in the immune system. Does that make sense? Okay? So you eat the chicken noodle soup. It's got that great chicken broth to it, right? It's healing for the gut, helps to boost your immune system. That's why that's been like the old wives' tale for when you're sick, you get chicken noodle soup. We've taken all the inconveniences, so you got to go find the bones, you got to cook the bones, you got to sift off the broth, you got to store the broth, you got to reheat the broth. I've done this many times. It's a big PIA. Does everyone know what that means? A pain in the rear, right? We've taken that and taken all the convenience out of it and packaged it into a protein canister for you. So all you have to do is scoop it into a glass, stir it up and drink it. You get all the traditional benefits of bone broth without all the hassle, okay? So we're going to explain that product to you as well. So everybody understand candida gut? All right, next one is stressed gut. Stressed gut. This one is most predominantly caused through emotional distress. If you're stressed at work, you're stressed in a relationship at home, you're stressed for deadlines, whatever the emotional response may be, you're overwhelmed, it buries your adrenals, your kidney response, your thyroid response, that whole axis is disrupted as a response to the stress. Typically, that stimulates a craving for carbs. And when we eat carbs and sugar, that primarily feeds the bad bacteria of our gut. So that's stressed gut, okay? The third type of gut is immune gut. Oh, thank you. Immune gut. Immune gut is the one where you just seem to catch everything that comes across your path. Your immune system has been weakened along with the gut disturbance that you have. So antibiotic use is primary in this, but overall medication use is also very prevalent for this, because every time that we're taking a synthetic chemical into our body through the use of prescription and non-prescription medications, it does have an effect on your GI lining. Does that make sense? This is why we are so adamant about helping you get to the cause. And the last route that I want you to go, unless it's an absolute medical necessity or a medical emergency, the last thing that I want you to do is be taking prescription medications, because of the damage that it does long term. You have to go through so much more work to heal and repair this stuff once you've been on long-term medication use. So by getting to the cause, by treating things with healing nutrients instead of synthetic chemicals, that will allow your body to function and heal at its fullest capacity, right? If you've done a lot of long-term medication use, you likely have immune gut. It causes inflammation. Also, grief, anxiety, depression, disappointment can all play into this one as well, okay? Gastric gut. Gastric gut. So this is poor digestion. Anyone ever had this burning sensation along their chest here before? I know I've had it before if I go a little too hard on the weekend or something with my barbecue foods or whatever the case may be. You get reflux. That's acid reflux. That's also known as GERD, gastrointestinal reflux disease. That's what that's called, right? Chronic poor digestion issues. Oftentimes, this further is perpetuated with antacids. It causes a nutrient deficiency because things aren't breaking down correctly. And since the food that's getting into the small intestine isn't being pre-digested properly, you get small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. This is known as SIBO. SIBO. And this is very common in leaky gut. Those two almost go hand in hand. So many people are told that symptomatically that heartburn, reflux, is actually because you have too much acid, right? So they give you an antacid or they give you a drug to try and lower your acid. But that actually is the exact opposite of what's really going on. That's only symptomatic, right? So what's actually happening is that you're eating food, it's not being digested properly, so if there is not enough acid in your stomach, the food particles won't get broken down enough, there won't be enough acidic response. So your gastric juices, the stomach juices, the digestive juices, has to drop to a certain pH. It has to be acidic enough to stimulate the sphincter of the small intestine to open and allow the food to move into the small intestine for the next phase of digestion. Everybody follow me on that? So if you don't have enough acid, then it won't create a low enough pH. So the lower the pH, the more acidic, right? It won't create a low enough pH to release that sphincter. When the sphincter doesn't release, the stomach starts to ferment those contents. They literally become rancid inside of the stomach. Well, if it can't go down, then it's going to go up. So the food and the acid refluxes up into your throat, and guess what you feel as a result of that? Heartburn. Okay, it has nothing to do with your heart. It has everything to do with your esophagus, and they call it heartburn because it's located around the area of what? Around the heart. And a lot of people mistaken it for a heart attack, so they call it heartburn. Okay? Does that make a lot more sense now? So if you just go and take the Prilosec or the Prevacid or the Nexium, right, the little purple pill, that further lowers your acid. What is that actually doing? It's making the problem worse over time. And it's also leaching calcium out of your bones. So I see a lot of patients for years and years that treat that symptomatically that way. They end up developing osteoporosis, which is a weakening of the bone density. Okay, so you really don't want to treat things symptomatically for long-term health strategy. If you have to do it because you can't stand the burn for a month or two while we figured out what to get to the cause and help you get well, I get that. But that conversation doesn't take place in most traditional medical offices, right? So what we want to do is get to the cause, get enough acid in the stomach. So I'm going to show you the solution for that here in a second. Get the food properly digested, lower the pH enough so that it triggers that sphincter to open so the food can move into the next phase of the digestive process. Then it's not going to reflux. Okay? Make sense? I take time to explain that because a lot of patients got that all backwards, and it's never properly explained by your medical doctor. They just say, oh, heartburn, take this, right? And so it's never properly explained, but that's the way that it really works, okay? So that's gastric gut. So not only acid reflux, but a lot of times associated with bloating and gas after meals as well. And then finally, the fifth gut is toxic gut. Toxins, an overabundance of toxins, whether it be from bad fats, whether it would be from, again, chemicals. So if you ever use the, Purell before, the antibiotic lotions or creams, those have something called triclosan inside of them. What does triclosan kill? Bacteria. It kills bacteria. That's why they claim 99.9999% of bacteria killed. Well, that's not such a bad idea necessarily for your hands, but when you take those hands that you've just cleansed and then you pick up food and you eat, guess what else is getting down into your GI system? Okay, so the triclosan enters, or you rub across your face or your nose, it somehow is going to get into your system, and guess what it kills there? It kills off the healthy bacteria, right? And it gives a chance for the bad bacteria to grow. So I absolutely do not recommend any hand sanitizers that have triclosan. There are more natural versions of hand sanitizers out there, but to be honest, warm water and soap is your absolute best. It's your best remedy for that. And in fact, this whole bacterial scare, or this whole germophobia, so you know what they found? They did research on the subway trains in New York, and those things are loaded with bacteria, right? There's people moving in and out of there all the time, right? So they went and they tested the bacteria. There was an immense, diverse bacterial biome in there. And they found out that not a single one of those bacteria in there caused sickness or disease in the human body. In fact, they all propagated healthy bacterial growth within our gut biome. So next time you're in New York, lick the rails or something. You can... Just kidding. Don't do that. But you get the concept. What's happened there is because so many people are moving in and out, there's this diverse bacteria biome in there, and the healthy bacteria have won the day, right? Otherwise, every time you stepped onto that train, guess what would happen? You'd get sick, right? And so a healthy gut biome, is developed actually through exposures to different type of bacteria. And that's why I recommend that you are playing in the dirt. You're getting your hands dirty, getting your elbows dirty. You're out, back in the day when we were agricultural and farming, they were shoveling the haystacks. They were out in the dirt, hands in the dirt. They were getting exposed to all different types of healthy organisms that were creating a healthy gut. And you're going to see, some of that here in the next couple slides. So if you want to take a quiz that can help you more precisely locate what type of gut that you have, so you didn't get that gut feeling about which one that you are, this is also listed here just under the 5 gut types. You'll see, go to that link. It will send you directly to a quiz that you can take. The quiz only takes like 5 to 10 minutes, and then it'll give you a printout of what type of gut that you are. If you get that, bring that into the office, share that with your doctor or with the team, and we can help you start to develop a strategy based on that to at least get you moving in the right direction. Okay? Everyone understand the 5 different gut types? Anyone get a gut feeling here of which type they may be? No? Yeah? Okay. All right, so step 2, removing our inflammatory triggers. Some of the biggest triggers of inflammation we've talked about steadily in workshops here, so I'm not going to get too deep into this, but I just want you to be aware of them. The wheat and the grains, why is that inflammatory for the gut? What's the protein in there that causes that? It is sugar, but what else? Starts with a G. Gluten, you got it. Gluten is really the biggest issue for gut inflammation. But yes, the carb and the sugar break down, because what do the bacteria feed on again? They feed on those sugars, so that only perpetuates it. But there's only 2 things that cause the leaky gut syndrome. It's bacterial overgrowth, so bacterial dysbiosis, meaning the bad bacteria are winning the day, so long-term antibiotic use causes that. And then the other thing that triggers leaky gut is gluten. So guess what we want to cut out? Gluten and casein, because casein has 20 times the effect of gluten. And then we want to cut out bad bacteria. So we want to kill the bad bacteria and support healthy bacteria growth. That's what fixes the leaky gut, closes it back up, reduces the inflammation. You getting the key? Getting the idea here? Sugar, we talked about. We talked about the dairy. That's the casein protein that I just mentioned. Hydrogenated oils. Why? What are these? These are what's known as trans fats. We know trans fats are directly linked to what? Inflammation. Okay? So that causes gut inflammation as well as systemic inflammation in your entire body. GMO foods, Dr. Chad talked about the link there. GMO foods actually damage the bacteria itself. So they've done tons of safety tests on GMO foods. They found that they're healthy for human cells, but you know what they buried and covered up? It's very unhealthy for human bacteria. They said, oh, well, who cares about the bacteria, right? Well, come to find out, the bacteria are extremely important in the overall health. So that's why we recommend organic foods, and we try and keep you away from genetically modified organisms. I know some folks have difficulty with the difference in the price point. but trust me, you're going to pay 10 times more in medical expenses down the road than you ever would from eating organic, healthy foods to keep your body healthy and well. Does that make sense? So the investment today is going to play out in tons of savings in the road. It's an investment into your health, into your body. Toxic chemicals. Again, just inflammatory overall. The more that we load chemicals into the GI system, if you already have leaky gut going on, now we have not only food particles leaking into the bloodstream, but you also have toxins as well. And toxins are also going to trigger that immune response. One of the biggest things that I'll see that does this is heavy metals. How many of you have silver amalgam fillings in your teeth? Okay, if you have silver amalgam fillings, those are 50% mercury. Over time, that mercury will leach into the body. That's one of the things that will aggravate the gut lining because it causes that GI inflammation. What I've found is that almost guaranteed within 6 to 8 months of a patient having a dental procedure on their amalgam fillings, if any of that amalgam leaks down into their GI system, it triggers an autoimmunity. Every time someone comes into my office and has an autoimmune condition, one of the first questions I ask them, when was your last dental procedure? Does that make sense? Okay, because if they've had one within the last 6 to 8 months, I say, I want to see your dental records. Let's pull those out and let's see if you had amalgam fillings that were worked on. Then we have to get those pulled out and we have to pull those heavy metals out of your gut because I can't heal up your leaky gut with the heavy metals in there. Does that make sense? Okay. Step number 3, nourish the GI lining. So this is where we start to get into the specifics of how to build the healthy microbiome. So we talked about bone broth, right? Extremely healing for the GI system. It's one of those ancient, time-tested therapies that is just incredibly healthy for your gut. And so the problem is that it's kind of inconvenient to always have bone broth around. But did you know in major metropolitan areas like New York City, right alongside the coffee bar, guess what they have? The bone broth bar. Yeah, and people are actually getting coffee mugs full of bone broth to start their day off because they're starting to recognize the healing properties that it has on the digestive system. Another great one is fermented vegetables. Fermented vegetables. Dr. Nick does a workshop about how to do this in your home, but you can purchase fermented vegetables from most health food stores. The more fermented vegetables you can get, so an example of that, if you don't know what a fermented vegetable is, that would be like sauerkraut, right? Sauerkraut. But you want to make sure that it's made without any chemicals, right? So you want to read your ingredients. Really, all they need in there is sea salt, and they just got to let it ferment. So it's got sea salt and a little bit of the acid to break down the cabbage. Other than that, you should be able to, it's like sea salt and vinegar should really be the only 2 ingredients in it. So, look for an organic sauerkraut, and you'll be getting good fermented vegetables. And to be honest, the bacteria that are formed in that are mostly contained within the juices. So make sure that you're drinking the juice as well as eating the sauerkraut. Okay, so a lot of people end up dumping the juice off, right? So to your health, drink it cold. Drink it cold, that's right. Anything coconut products is also very digestive healing. Coconut contains something called lauric acid. Lauric acid has antiparasitic, antifungal, and antibacterial properties to it. So coconut is extremely healing to the gut because it kills off the bad stuff in the gut, right? Lets it heal. Fermented dairy. So this would be kefir, would be an example of fermented dairy. Kimchi, right? Another fermented product. So if you've never heard of these things before, right, Willie? You may have to go and do a little research on them, but you can get most of these now. They're becoming prominent in health food stores where you can purchase these types of things. I prefer the dairy that's consumed to be goat milk rather than cow's milk because it's a lot cleaner and it typically has a lot less of the chemicals. It's a lot less processed. So a good goat milk kefir, and that's what I have pictured down here in the corner for you, is really good. Blueberries are amazingly healing. They're super anti-inflammatory. And then I would also recommend that you cook your vegetables, especially when you're trying to get your gut to heal. Raw veggies are really tough for the body to digest. So when I would otherwise recommend raw vegetables because they have tons of enzymes and are really helpful in healing, somebody that has a damaged gut, it's very tough for them to break down raw vegetables. So cooked vegetables are the way to go while you're letting your GI system heal, right? So just some little nuances there that will help you take things to the next level. And then, of course, organic meats. As Dr. Chad mentioned, over 70%, I think it was 80%, of antibiotics used in the United States are actually used on animal products. So when we eat conventional animal products, those antibiotic residues are contained within the meats and within the milk products that we consume from those animals. And so we're getting the antibiotic residues and the effects of the antibiotics on our gut system without actually taking an antibiotic. So you may say, well, I haven't had an antibiotic or had a need for an antibiotic for years, Dr. Fromm. It doesn't matter. You are still getting exposed if you're not eating organic grass-fed meats, organic chicken, organic fish. If you're eating stuff from a fish farm, they're getting antibiotic pellets. If you're eating chicken farm, they actually, right in their feed, right in their water supply, they are getting antibiotics. Same thing with the cattle. They're getting antibiotics every single day. One reason is because it fattens them up, so they get more bang for their buck when they sell the cattle. The other reason is they know that they're going to get sick because of the environment that they pin them in, so they just put them on a steady stream of antibiotics so they never have to deal with any sickness, okay? But they don't look at the resulting effect of what it does to our bodies. And so that's something that you need to be aware of and make some changes. To continue to nourish the GI lining, there's some really beneficial essential oils that will do that. We could do a whole workshop in that in and of itself, but I just want you to be aware of it. There's another therapy called soil-based organisms. So this is what I was talking about. Like if you get an organic carrot that's grown in organic fertile soil, you chop that up and it's got still some of the remnants of dirt and things on it, you are getting healthy soil-based organisms that help to create a diverse gut biome. Yet when we get in there germophobic, scrubbing those carrots as clean as we possibly can, right? Taking all the good nutrients off of them, right? So I'm not saying don't wash them at all, but don't overdo it, okay? And a lot of times, you know, I remember Mom would go in there and get the carrot stripper, right? And strip all the good stuff off of it. So medicinal mushrooms. I know that sounds a little hippie-ish, but there are actually some very specific medicinal mushrooms that help with developing the diversity and the culture of the gut microbiome. Again, a whole workshop in and of itself because there's literally over a dozen of them that help do that. But you could simply research them and order them. That's not stuff that we carry specifically in our office. Same thing with the blue-green algae. We got some really great phage therapy. So phage is actually a virus, but it's a virus that is unaffected to human cells. It doesn't affect human cells at all. It's what's called a bacteriophage. And these phages, these viruses are specifically created, they're specifically designed to kill bacteria. And they kill off the unhealthy bacteria. So in a very sick patient with an extremely unbalanced microgut biome, we'll utilize this phage therapy. And you could take this in supplemental form. This is actually one of the things that's in your Max GI product. So if you've ever taken the Max GI and had like a inflammatory or a gut response or gotten a skin rash to that, some of you have come back and told me that when you take the Max GI, you feel uneasy or you feel cramping. Or that's the phage therapy killing off the bad bacteria inside of your gut. So although it's uncomfortable or it may cause a skin response, or it's part of the healing process to allow your body to get well. Does that make sense? Okay, because it kills off those bacteria and starts to push them out. If it can't get them out through your stool and it can't get them out through your urine, it's going to push them out through your skin. It may cause some bloating or some other gases or things, but that's a necessary part of healing the overall gut microbiome. Yeast, there are actually specific yeasts that are really beneficial for the body. So again, and then bentonite clay. This is like, it's like mud basically. It's like sand, sandpaper. And bentonite clay has some amazing healing properties. You can use it topically, or you could take it orally, so you want to make sure you get a really good quality one, because obviously you don't want to be putting any toxins on your skin or in your body. But you get a good, healthy version of bentonite clay, a clean version of it. and you can use it to help heal up eczema rashes, both orally and topically again. It soothes dermatitis and psoriasis, removes toxins from the body, so it actually, and when you take it orally, it actually is a chelator. It'll bind toxins and pull them out through your stool, so it can be really good for that. Helps to alkalize, boosts your good gut bacteria, can be a purifier for water, and it can improve your dental hygiene as well. So a lot of great uses for the bentonite clay. See my carrots up here? Nice and dirty carrots. So here's what we're recommending for the actual supplements to get the process of GI healing. And again, these are all listed here. We have a special sale on those for tonight. So we are, they'll be passing around this green sheet that will allow you to order them. This just needs to be filled out and turned in tonight for you to take advantage. We're 10% off any of the GI-specific supplements. So just to honor you that came out and learned this stuff and you want to get implementing it, we're going to help you kick that off with the 10% off on the GI supplements tonight. So should come as no surprise that we need to re-inoculate healthy gut bacteria again. How do we do that? Probiotics. Now, I want you to understand something specific about probiotics. A lot of times I'll tell patients to take probiotics and they're like, I got that covered. I eat yogurt. That's not getting the job done. Again, we're talking about diversity. And although that helps, I'm going to show you in a minute here, yogurts only provide a very small section of diversity to the overall bacteria microbiome that you need. Okay, so that's why we offer the multi-probiotic. I believe it has at least 50 billion cultures inside of it, which gives you a very diverse gut microbiome. Okay, so we got probiotics. The next one would be our digestive enzymes. Oh, one quick thing that I forgot to mention about the probiotics, just to show you how prevalent this is in the United States. When they measured the difference in microbiome between Venezuelans and citizens of the United States, they found out that Venezuelans had 2 times the gut microbiome that we did here in the United States, meaning that you're already at a disadvantage to other countries. And why did they find that that was? Because they're working in the dirt, agriculture, not germaphobes. They're getting dirty, getting their hands dirty. When they're eating off the lands. They're getting much more exposure to this healthy gut microbiome than we are. So we're already at a disadvantage just from the societal perspective of how we live. So we really need to focus on this area if we're really going to build it and get the advantages that they would have as well. Okay, digestive enzymes. This is what's going to help you break the food down within the stomach. So if you have gastric reflux and the acidity isn't high enough, you need to help the foods get broken down. Also, if you have backed up stool, so if you are not having regular bowel movements, which you should be having at least 1 to 3 bowel movements per day, it should look like soft serve ice cream coming out of the ice cream thing, right? Not to get too gross, but that's really what it should look like. So if it's a variant of those, then you likely have rancid, fermented food inside of your GI system. Your body's not processing that well. And what happens then is that starts to feed the bad bacteria. So digestive enzymes help to lower the acidity in your stomach, which will open that sphincter up. It'll pass the foods into the small intestine, and then they further help to break down any of that rancid, putrefied, undigested food in your gut. So I will sometimes put patients on months and months and months of digestive enzymes just so we can break down all the undigested food particles that are in their gut and help them pass through that. And many patients report that they feel amazing just being on digestive enzymes, because imagine if you have all this putrefied food sitting in your GI system. That's going to fatigue you. It's sapping energy from your body. It's going to disrupt hormonal systems. It's clogging up your system, right? So then when you try and go and eat the advanced plan and you try and eat carrots and bell peppers and lettuces and you drink your smoothie every morning, everything's all clogged up. You're not getting the benefits from it. You know what I mean? So this helps to get the digestive system digesting properly again. So that's why they're called digestive enzymes. The way that you do these is two capsules with every meal, especially meals that you're going to have meat and starches in. So if you haven't fully converted over and cut out a lot of the starches and the carbs in your nutrition plan yet, this is a way for you to still be able to counteract those. So especially like grains and breads and things like that, you would take 2 digestive enzymes to help your body break those food particles down and pass them through as completely as possible. Same thing with meats, right? Meats are a little tougher on the digestive system, especially if they're not chewed fully. Has anyone had the chew conversation with you yet? How many times are you supposed to chew your food per bite? Does anyone know? 30 to 40 times. 30 to 40 chews. It should be almost completely liquefied before you swallow. How many of us actually do that, right? I know that I don't. And so when I'm ready to eat, I'm like ravenous, right? I'm like, so I'm definitely not chewing 30 to 40 bites. But that's something a goal to work towards, right? The next category would be adaptogenic herbs. So this is to support adrenal and thyroid function. It also helps to lower your cortisol levels and get your hormones balanced out. So if you've been stressed out, if you got stressed gut, right? If you have toxic gut and you're having weight management issues, you're having energy issues, you're having hormonal issues like sleep disturbances and things like that, anxiety, then you need the adaptogenic herbs to help settle those organ systems and help heal those organ systems, okay? And that's found in the Max Fit product, our adaptogenic herbs for helping with that are in the Max Fit product. And then finally, L-glutamine. So L-glutamine is crucial for sealing those tight junctions of the gut back up. In fact, it's one of the only known single supplements that does that. However, this is a temporary response. So it's not the long-term solution. You can't just keep your same lifestyle and just take L-glutamine and it solves all the problems, okay? I wish that it worked that way, but it doesn't. This will help seal up your gut while you make the lifestyle changes. So it works for a good 3 to 6 months. It'll seal up the gut. You make the lifestyle changes to help actually heal and repair it. It helps to accelerate the process of healing. Does that make sense? Okay, so it's not the end-all, be-all solution to this problem, but it does help accelerate the process. Crucial amino acid, that's why I call it the Band-Aid for gut lining. So if I want to get somebody some immediate response to this leaky gut syndrome, I'll put them on L-glutamine so it'll start to seal that back up for them. Eating just yogurt doesn't get the job done. This is what I was talking about. See all the diversity of the different types of bacteria? Most yogurts contain lactobacilli. You've probably read that on there, right? That is included in all the different parts of digestion, but look at all these other ones. We got Clostridia, we got Bifidobacteria, we got Enterobacteria, Streptococci. These are all the healthy diversity of different bacteria. And then look at the sheer numbers. So down in the colon, we need to have 1 times 10 to the 10. Does anybody know what that number actually is? It's like trillions, right? You want to have trillions of microorganisms of good bacteria. So we need to just be getting just a mass quantity of these probiotics and these bacteria in order to create this healthy gut biome. So that's why it's so important to do the bone broth protein, to have the diversity, right? The fermented vegetables, the fermented dairies, all the different types of those things to really get the diversity that will help to actually heal the gut and allow it to function correctly. And then once you have that gut healthy and functioning right, what do you want to do with it? Protect it, right? You want to keep it that way. So the last thing that you would ever want to do at that point would be to take an antibiotic. Does that make sense? So it's the A-bomb, like Dr. Chad said. It just wrecks the whole system. You want to destroy a town, you drop an atomic bomb on it, right? You want to destroy your healthy gut biome, you drop an antibiotic on it. That's exactly what it does. You may not have the resultant effects of that the next day, the next week, the next month, or the next year, but when you have an unhealthy enough digestive system, you can see how it leads to all these other issues down the road, right? Human microbiome, microbial genes in the human digestive system. So the genes of the bacteria in our body, there's over 3 million different genetic variations. So that shows you the diversity that we're looking for. In the human genome, so our human cells, there's only 22,000 different genetic variants. You see the difference? See how big of a diversity that we're looking for? Right? So that just helps to explain that. Human DNA is 99.9% alike. So it's only that 0.1% that makes us different. That gives me brown hair versus your blonde hair, or whatever the case may be, right? Those are that 0.1% is what makes us different and unique. But the gut microbiome is vastly different, and it compromises over 70% of the working immune system. So how much of an influence does a healthy gut play on a healthy immune system? at least 70% of an influence. And I would argue potentially even more because of the other inflammatory and resultant effects that it has on overall function of the body. Does that make sense? Okay? So bacterial cells outnumber human cells 10 to 1. We said that. This is from Science, December of 2010. Probiotics compete with unhealthy bacteria for food, produce antibacterial substances, help manufacture vitamins. So this is the healthy bacteria produce all your B vitamins, vitamin A, and vitamin K. See how critical that is, right? So if you want to have adequate levels of those being produced in your body, you have to have a healthy gut microbiome. Otherwise, you're going to produce nutrient deficiencies. You're not going to produce adequate amounts, right? It helps to eat excess sugar. So it lowers the inflammatory and the cancer response that sugars would otherwise have on your body when you have healthy bacteria. Help us to produce essential fatty acids. So again, that helps to balance out inflammation. You heard of omega-3 versus omega-6? Those are your essential fatty acids. So by keeping that balance, it maintains the integrity of the cell membrane. It allows our cells to exchange nutrients and wastes correctly. This is what keeps our inflammatory profile even-keeled. Okay? That's a whole other workshop. Stimulates cellular repair, increases the number of healthy immune cells. That's good, right? We want healthy functioning immune cells. Combats allergies and inflammation. One of the biggest links to allergies and sinus issues that are chronic, asthma, things of that age. Guess where it stems from? Unhealthy gut. Are you seeing the connection now? Right? It's huge. Transform toxic metals and chemicals into useful compounds. So again, healthy gut will help you to break down those things into a byproduct that's not actually going to harm your body. So what causes a disruption in that microflora? Added hormones in our foods, added antibiotics that we talked about. Alcohol. Alcohol actually disrupts it. Think about the acidity of alcohol, right? So it's not that you can't consume it, but you would definitely want to make sure that you're highly regulating that so you're not destroying your healthy gut bacteria. Birth control pills are also very disruptive. Carbonated drinks, why would that be? The acidity, right? The acidity, and if you're drinking diet soda, that's toxic, right? Those artificial sweeteners are actually toxic to the GI. And then sugar, if you're drinking regular cola, the sugar is going to feed the bad bacteria. Okay, so see all the different ways that plays out. Chlorine. Where are we getting exposed to chlorine from? Swimming pools, but most commonly, tap drinking water. If you are not filtering your water, I always say, get a filter or be a filter. Okay, you got to filter this stuff out before you drink it, otherwise you're getting exposed to it. EMF, so that's electromagnetic field magnetic frequencies. That comes from these types of guys, right? So anytime I'm not somewhere where I'm going to need my phone on my person, I put it in the drawer, I put it on the nightstand. You want to keep it 2 to 3 feet away from your body. That's where the magnetic field starts to diminish, okay? So the last place that you want to keep it is right on your hip or your back pocket. Guess what that's close to? Right to the colon, right to the GI tract, or right to your reproductive organs, male and female, right? So it's going to cause all kinds of disruptions as I stick it back in my pocket, right? For long-term radiation exposure like that, right? Fertilizers, fluoride, heavy metals, pesticides, preservatives, steroids, and stress. And we went through and explained some of those. So another solution, and we talked about the bone broth protein specifically. This is what's going to help to heal the lining of the gut. We have a massive order of this coming into our offices. This is going to be a brand new product that we're going to start carrying for you guys to, again, give you the simplicity and the convenience of having bone broth in a canister versus going out and cooking the bones in the crock pot and walking you through that whole thing. I've tried to do that with patients, and it really just, there's not enough motivation there to go out and actually make it happen. You know what I mean? It is quite an inconvenience. So I searched to see if there were any other solutions to that, and one of the best solutions that I found was this bone broth protein. This is formulated by Jordan Rubin. How many have heard of Jordan Rubin before? Right, he wrote a book called The Maker's Diet. He has been a supplement formulator for decades. He created the line of supplements called Garden of Life. He used to formulate maximized living supplements, but we've kind of moved to a level beyond that at this point now. But he developed this ancient nutrition product called bone broth protein. So some of the benefits for that: promotes healthy gut integrity. We know that, right? Reduces permeability. So it's going to close up those tight junctions again and seal up the leaky gut. This is helpful for that. Reduces visible signs of wrinkles and aging. Hey, all right, we'll take that, right? Number 4, supports normal immune system function. We should recognize that benefit now. Promotes healthy sleep. We should also recognize that benefit because of the hormonal healing that will do. Boosts energy during the day. Again, by getting those rancid foods out, it's going to increase the energy that your body can produce. Supports a healthy mood. Supports cellular and liver detoxification. Adds metabolism and promotes anabolism. So that's actually your body burning fat for energy. And then it supports joint, disc, skin, and digestion properties. Yes?
Can we cook with that protein?
I would not cook with it. I would add it to water. I would add it to your smoothie. I would add it to coconut milk or almond milk. Just like you would use it with any of our other protein products, you can use this similarly. Okay, so it's a powder with a scoop, just like any of our other protein products. You can use it exactly the same as you would for any of those. And we're also going to start posting recipes and stuff for this where you can make bars or things like that. So you can cook with it or bake with it, but we'll give you specific recipes to make sure you don't damage the integrity of the bone broth protein.
Is that a replacement for like your whey protein?
It is.
Do you use both?
You can use both. If you still aren't getting adequate levels of protein through your meal plan, you can use both, but this does have the capacity to replace your standard whey protein with the extra added benefit of helping to heal the gut. So yeah, I'm really excited about adding this for you guys. And then we also have our GI ReBoot products on sale. So if you have digestive disturbances and you need to reboot your GI system and get it healing, here's a lot of the products that we talked about tonight that will help you do that. So your L-glutamine that seals up your gut, your Max GI that kills off the bad gut bacteria. We got vitamin D3 with probiotics. That's a smaller amount of probiotics. I would additionally get the multi-probiotic that gives you the massive diversity, okay? But this only helps as well. Your Max Greens is, again, going to support that enzymatic food breakdown that will push the undigested particles through the rest of your GI system. And then Pro Omega helps to lower the inflammation, okay? So normally that would be sold at $194 if those were all purchased individually. If you want to do the GI ReBoot, $165 as a package. That's on sale for the entire month of June. The rest of the individual products are 10% off, but that's for tonight only. So you would have to turn in your form. Did we get those forms out, Lisa? Go ahead and pass the forms out so they can get those filled out if they need to. And then finally, yes, Patty?
Are those Max Greens the powder?
That's the powder. You got it. The Max Greens are the powder.
Was that a month's worth or how much?
That's a month's supply right there. Yes, ma'am. Your total body transformations. Any of our guests that are here tonight, if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, which you very well could be, we went through a lot of content tonight and a lot of solutions. You may not know exactly where to start. That's how we help you work through this. Okay, so we have 3 different levels of an experience that you can choose to get engaged in one of our offices. We have 3 office locations, one in Brookfield, one in Hales Corners, and one in Waukesha. I'm going to have you talk to one of our team members here tonight. So team members are in the Maximize Living shirts here. Talk to one of them afterwards. You could get signed up for your experience on this green flyer here, and we can help you get the testing and proper systems put together to help you get well.
What's a prebiotic?
A prebiotic, that's a great question. A prebiotic is what feeds the healthy bacteria. So that feeds the probiotics, basically. So you would take, if you had an unhealthy GI system, you're trying to get it right, you could take both a prebiotic and a probiotic in combination to help feed it. So an example of a prebiotic food substance would be like the fermented veggies, like the sauerkraut. That's prebiotic. It feeds and promotes and facilitates healthy bacterial growth. Good question. Okay? So our 3 different experiences. Option number 1 is our nutrition experience. Comprehensive nutrition review. We're going to customize a meal plan for you. A one-on-one consultation to sit down and develop a 4-week customized meal plan. Typically $99, just $57 for our guests here tonight. Option number 2 is going to be our VIP 3-day new patient special. That's going to include your nutrition consultation that we just mentioned, plus your testing to see how your spine and your nervous system is functioning, how your body's healing from the inside out. That's one of the fundamental principles that we check for. You have to have the body healing right. So if you want a healthy GI system, you got to make sure that you don't have damage to the structure or the nerves first. We get that healing, we start to repair the rest of your body from there. So it's a foundation that we build upon. You want to follow the hierarchy of healing. Does that make sense? Some of you may have made a lot of changes in your lifestyle and not gotten the results that you want because you didn't follow the hierarchy of healing. So if you don't have a good foundation, you can't build on top of that and expect to have good success. So normally $299 in the office, just $97 for that new patient experience. That includes your first 3 visits in the office. So your initial analysis, we'll do a first test adjustment on your second visit based on the feedback and how your body responds to that. Then we'll go through your specific plan of action for your case and what we need to do to get you moving forward. Option number 3 would be the full testing protocol that I would recommend if you have severe GI issues and you want to get it moving in the right direction right away. We're going to do the structural, we'll do the nutritional, but we're also going to do specific testing to find out what your customized supplemental protocol needs to be to get well. So that testing includes a blood test and a urine test. It's an organic fatty acids test, an organic metabolics test. It lets me see exactly how your body is functioning enzymatically and what we need to do to get it healing. This is for the people that are very serious about getting their health back, because if we're going to take all the time to do the testing, break down the analysis, and put the plan together for you, we want you to be able to follow through and get the results with that. Don't make my team members do all the work for that and then not want to follow through with it. So for those of you that are really serious about getting your health on track, sometimes that can be anywhere from $500 to a couple $1,000s worth of a protocol that we need to do to get you well, but it will tell us every single area that we need to work on and develop a system for that. So it is a serious way, but it is very, very high level, and we get great results with that and helping people be able to heal up. I've had many patients come back and rave about how their body heals going through the metabolics protocol. So that'll include all of your neurostructural evaluation. It'll include your blood test, your urine test, and your nutritional evaluation, and putting together your meal plans for you as well. And as always, tune in to the radio shows Thursday afternoon and Sunday morning. You can also go to our website, maxhealthradio.com, to download a podcast. The entire month of June, we've been doing radio shows that are specifically about digestive health. So if you want more information on any one of the single topics that we started talking about tonight, I get into a lot more depth on the radio show. We have an hour each week. So instead of a 1-hour exposure here at the workshop, you'll literally get 5 hours of GI health on the radio show, right? So you can listen to it while you're at work. You could go to the radio. If you click on the link, it'll upload as a podcast. You can listen to me whenever you want. It could, if I bore you, it could be your bedtime music, right? You could go to sleep that way. So thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I hope you learned something. If you would like to order product, we have a lot of people that are probably going to want to take advantage of the 10% discount. Your green form needs to be filled out completely, including credit card information on the bottom, so that we can process those as efficiently as possible for you. Otherwise, if you're a new patient, please talk to one of the team members. That will get you taken care of for any one of our 3 experiences here and help you get signed up for that. Otherwise, you guys have a fantastic evening. Thank you so much for your time here tonight. Be blessed. Yes, thank you very much.
Good job.
Thanks, Jim. If you are signing up for the metabolics testing, that form is right here. So just sign up for that on that form. I forgot to mention that one.
To do that, but
Sure.
I don't think I can until I figure out what's going on
yes.
with my other guy.
I think you needed to finish up the protocols of what you're doing over
But
there.
I'm going to show him this because I think I've got some of that going on. He has been working on healing the gut,
Yes.
but I've developed these new issues, and so I think that
Sometimes the gut issues will be exposed as you start to do supplement protocols like what you're doing.
yeah,
So
I don't want to keep you. I know.
no, you're
but
fine.
I, really
I was just
appreciate it.
it's still recording. So I was going to get Dr. Chad to shut that down.
Thank
so.
you. That was great, and it really spoke to me.
Yeah,
really
I hope
appreciate
it helps. There's a lot of areas that affect people that have chronic issues, like I know
And
we
there's a lot
struggle
of
with for
things
you.
I jump
It's tough. He's made it.